Welcome to Mallorca, the crown of the Balearic Islands, where limestone mountains meet crystal coves, and 1,000 years of history breathe through every stone. We begin at Arenal Beach, a long arc of pale sand where the morning light is soft and the sea is calm. From there, we move into Palma, the capital, a city of palm-fringed boulevards and narrow lanes. We will stand beneath the cathedral that rises like a ship of stone, slip through old patios, and watch daily life in the markets. Then we go south for a stretch of wild blue at Trenc. Long, white and open to the breeze, it is one of the most loved beaches on the island. After that, we turn north to Alcudia, walking the medieval walls, looking over tiled roofs and tasting a little of Mallorcan life away from the resort strip. From Alcudia, we continue to Formentor, a place where the pine trees lean over water so clear it looks unreal. Next is Muro Beach, wide and soft underfoot, with water that fades from turquoise to deep blue as you step out. And when the day begins to cool, we swing back to Arenal Beach for sunset and for the night. Neon reflections on the water, music in the streets, and that feeling that the island is just beginning again. We start on Arenal Beach at the eastern end of Playa de Palma on the Bay of Palma. The beach sits partly in the municipality of Palma. It is about 12 kilometers from Palma city centre and roughly 7 to 9 kilometers from the airport. The location makes it an easy first stop on the island, with quick transfers and frequent city buses. EMT lines to look for include 15, 23 and 25, which connect the beach with central Palma along the waterfront route. The shoreline here is broad and sandy with shallow entry and generally calm conditions. That is why families and casual swimmers choose it. The water is usually clear and the seabed is mostly sand with some seagrass patches further out. In season, you will find lifeguards, first aid points, public showers, toilets, and accessibility ramps. Sunbed and parasol rentals are available. The beach is divided by numbered kiosks called balnearios, which act as easy meeting points. Behind the beach, services are dense and practical. Expect supermarkets, bakeries, casual tapas bars and international restaurants with a focus on seafood and affordable menus. ATMs, pharmacies, and beach shops are within a short walk. Activities are straightforward. Paddleboarding and kayaking work well in the morning when the sea is flat. Beach volleyball courts appear in the summer. For families, Aqualand Ilha Riva is a short ride inland and is open in the warmer months. For walkers and runners, the sea path provides long, uninterrupted distances with regular water stops. Cycling is popular because there is a wide seafront promenade that links Arenal with Can Pastilla and onward toward Palma. You can rent a bike or e-scooter along the front and follow a continuous path for several kilometers. Arenal has a lively reputation after dark, especially in high season, with bars and music venues that draw a mixed German, British, and Spanish crowd. If you prefer a quiet evening, move a few blocks inland or toward the edges of the promenade where the noise drops. This is our starting point. From Arenal Beach, we will continue along Playa de Palma toward the capital, then out to other coasts. Mallorca is the largest island in Spain's Balearic archipelago in the western Mediterranean. It covers about 3,640 square kilometers, with Palma as the capital and main hub. The highest point is Puig Major at roughly 1,436 meters, part of a mountain spine that shapes the north of the island. Catalan and Spanish are both official, and you will hear the local mayor can variety of Catalan in towns and markets across the island. A mix of nature and human engineering gives Mallorca much of its character. Coastal resorts sit within easy reach of mountain villages like Valdemosa, Daya and Sola, where you see olive groves held up by dry stone walls and traditional irrigation systems that still function today. Tourism is the main engine of the island's economy. Since the 1950s, Mallorca has built a reputation for reliable sunshine, varied beaches, and good transport links. Palma Airport is one of Spain's busiest and keeps the island connected to the rest of Europe with frequent flights. Ferries link Palma and Alcudia to Barcelona, Valencia and Dinaya, which helps visitors with cars reach the island. Why do people choose Mallorca? The first reason is variety within short distances. The south and east offer long sandy bays and many small coves suitable for families and swimmers. The north brings wind and open water that suit sailors and kite surfers. Inland, you have low plains with vineyards and quiet rural hotels. The Serra di Tramontana gives you ridge walks, cycling climbs, and stone-built towns with cooler evenings in midsummer. The second reason is access. From Palma, you can reach most coasts within an hour by car, and there is an island-wide network of buses for budget travel. The third reason is culture and food. Palma's old town has a Gothic cathedral facing the sea, Arab baths and courtyards that you can visit, while island kitchens serve seafood, sobrasada, ensaimada and olive oil from centuries-old groves. The weather is firmly Mediterranean. Summers are hot and dry, springs and autumns are warm with some rain, and winters are mild with cooler nights, which is ideal for hiking and city visits. For classic beach time and water activities, the core months are June through September. If you want comfortable temperatures for walking, cycling and sightseeing, look to March through May and again late September through November. We made a quick stop at one of the beachfront restaurants for lunch. We went for a crispy schnitzel with potatoes and a fresh salad, and it was honestly delicious. We paired it with a pitcher of sangria that was perfectly chilled and full of bright fruit. Now we are packed up and ready to go, continuing along the bay toward Palma. We are walking the seafront path along Pere Antoni Beach, heading toward Palma. This is the city's main urban beach, a long curve of pale sand with a wide promenade and a separate lane for bikes and skates. The water here is usually clear and shallow near the shore, so it is popular for quick swims, paddle sessions and relaxed sun-time. We are approaching the Catedral-Basilica of Santa Maria of Mallorca, the landmark that defines the skyline of Palma and serves as the spiritual and civic heart of the island. Locals call it La Seu, the seat, a name that hints at its role as the centre of worship and ceremony for centuries. Standing above the old city walls and looking out to the Bay of Palma, the cathedral links the island's past with its present. It welcomes worshippers, visitors, students and festival crowds, and it anchors many of the island's public moments through the year. The story begins with the conquest of Mallorca by King James I of Aragon in the year 1229. Tradition says he vowed to build a great church if his fleet survived a storm at sea. Ground was consecrated soon after, and the project unfolded across many generations. What we see today reflects that long timeline. Medieval builders laid the foundations of a grand space for prayer and for gatherings. Later, centuries brought repairs, additions, and careful renewal whenever the city changed or the building suffered damage, including work after an earthquake in the 19th century. In the early 20th century, the bishop invited Antoni Gaudi to rework parts of the interior to improve light and the sense of openness. More recently, the cathedral has welcomed contemporary artists, most notably Miquel Barceló, whose work in a side chapel connects the building to Mallorca's sea and daily bread in a modern voice. Beyond dates and names, think about what this place has meant to people. For islanders, it is a house of faith, a place of baptism, marriage, farewell, and reflection. For the city, it is a symbol that tells visitors they have reached Palma. For the region, it is a meeting point where processions start, where bells mark feast days, and where the island's calendar takes shape. The cathedral stands beside the royal palace of the Almudena and above Parc de la Mar, so an afternoon here can blend history, public gardens, and the open view across the water. Many people simply sit on the steps or by the lake and watch the light change on the stone as the day moves on. The King's Garden sits just below the Almudena Palace, beside the cathedral, a quiet green pocket shaped by old Moorish water traditions. Shaded paths, rills, and small fountains cool the air with palms, citrus, and bougainvillea framing benches where locals pause at midday. It is free to enter and perfect for a short break between the cathedral, Parc de la Mar, and Passé des Bornes. We have arrived at Passé del Born, Palma's elegant central promenade. It stretches from the Almudena and the cathedral side toward the shopping streets, around Joan Tres, shaded by tall plane trees with stone benches along the centre. On both sides, you will see historic palaces with wrought iron balconies, cafes spilling onto the pavement, and boutiques set in restored townhouses. Small fountains mark the walkway, and at the ends, the stone sphinxes watch over the flow of people. This is where locals meet for coffee, browse the shops, and take an evening stroll before dinner. From here, we will continue our walk through the old town, turning into the narrow streets to find quieter squares, courtyards, and the next chapter of Palma's history. Palma is the capital of Mallorca and the main gateway to the Balearic Islands in the western Mediterranean. It sits on the broad bay of Palma, protected by gentle headlands and backed by low hills that rise toward the Tramontana Mountains. The location has always mattered. Ships can approach a deep and sheltered harbour, roads radiate from the centre to the rest of the island, and the airport lies only a short ride away. For visitors and residents alike, Palma feels compact and connected. You can walk from the waterfront to the cathedral, to the palace, to markets and museums in minutes and still find time for a coffee on a shaded square. Palma's importance grows from history and function. It is the seat of island government and the hub for commerce, education, and culture. The port hosts ferries, cruise ships, fishing boats, and a major yachting industry. The city anchors services that reach the rural interior and the resort coasts. Many people who work in tourism, healthcare, retail, and construction live in or around Palma and commute to different parts of the island. The economy is diverse by island standards. Tourism is the driver, but logistics, yacht repair, food processing, creative industries, and public administration all play visible roles. The story of Palma reaches back to Roman times, when a settlement called Palma was founded near the sea. Centuries later, the city became Medina Mallorca under Islamic rule, with walls, baths, and an urban layout that shaped the old town. In 1229, King James, the first of Aragon, captured the island and set the course for a Christian city that would grow around its cathedral and palace. Walk through the centre and you can read these layers. The royal palace of the Almudena stands beside the cathedral, on a terrace above the sea. La Lunja, the Gothic merchant's hall, speaks to a time when trade bound the island to ports across the Mediterranean. Palma's appeal is balanced. It delivers big city features at an island scale. You can move from a major cathedral to a contemporary museum, from a royal palace to a market lunch, from a marina to a shaded garden in a single morning. The city welcomes short breaks and long stays. It serves as a base for exploring the Tramontana and the coves of the east, then brings you back to restaurants and evening walks on Pasig del Born. Above all, Palma shows how Mallorca sits between land and sea, tradition and modern life, local character and global visitors. People give Palma its texture. The city is home to Mallorcans who trace family ties to mountain villages and coastal towns, and to residents from across Spain and the wider world. Tourism shapes the city, but Palma is more than a holiday backdrop. It works as a city break for history and museums, as a base for cyclists and sailors, and as a practical hub for families who want both urban comfort and quick access to beaches. The urban beach of Cannes, Pere Antoni, sits within walking distance of the centre. The waterfront promenade runs past marinas toward Portixol and Molinar, where small coves and sea-facing cafes offer an easy afternoon. Santa Catalina began as a fishing quarter and now mixes market life with restaurants. La Lonja and the streets around it carry the memory of trade and guilds. Around Plaza Mayor and Olivar Market, you find everyday shops and local habits that continue outside the summer season. Religion in Mallorca is shaped by a long Catholic tradition that is still visible in daily life and in the calendar. The Cathedral of Palma, known as Lasu, stands as the island's main symbol, and many towns centre on their parish church with bells that mark the day. Holy Week brings processions through the old streets with brotherhoods carrying images and candles. In January, Palma celebrates Sant Sebastià with music and bonfires. In June, Sant Joan brings fire runs and summer rituals. Monasteries and small hermitages dot the countryside, and many are open for quiet visits. Visitors are welcome in churches. Dress modestly, keep a respectful silence, and check service times before entering. Jamón is a cornerstone of Spanish food culture, and you will see it everywhere in Mallorca, from markets to tapas bars. The two main families are Serrano, usually from white pigs and cured for many months, and Iberico, from Iberian breed pigs that can be acorn-fed. Within Iberico, you will hear terms like Bellota for acorn-fed, Cebo de Campo for mixed feed and pasture, and Cebo for grain-fed. Bellota is the most aromatic with a melt-in-the-mouth texture. In Palma, Mercat de l'Olivar and Santa Catalina Market are ideal for tasting. Ask for thin slices cut to order and buy by the gram. You can also pick up paper cones of jamón for a quick snack. We are inside Mercat de l'Oliva, Palma's main central market, a short walk from Plaza d'Espanya. This is the city's pantry. Long aisles are lined with fruit and vegetables, local olives and almonds, island cheeses, and bakeries with fresh ensaladas. In the meat section, you will see salmon being sliced to order and counters with sobrasada and cured meats. The fish hall is the busiest corner in the morning. Stalls display red prawns, squid, mussels, and whole Mediterranean fish on crushed ice. Around the edges, there are small bars where you can sit for a quick tapa, an oyster, or a glass of white wine. It is practical too. Prices are marked clearly, sellers are used to visitors, and many counters will vacuum seal products if you plan to travel with them. Here we spotted an oyster stand. We ordered one each and tried it for the first time. A squeeze of lemon, a quick taste of the sea, and that cool, briny flavour that everyone talks about. A simple moment and a good memory.
Ahora te vas a llevar el mérito de...
After this stop, we will continue our route to see more of Mallorca. Next up are the beaches. We will trade the bustle of the market for clear water, soft sand, and the easy rhythm of the island shore. Arenal de Sa Rapita sits on the south coast of Mallorca at the western end of the long Trenc shoreline. It belongs to the municipality of Campos and takes its name from the small seaside village and marina beside it. The setting is classic Mediterranean, a broad arc of pale sand backed by protected dunes and pine, with very clear shallow water that shades from turquoise to deep blue as you look toward the horizon. On clear days, you can see the outline of the Cabrera Islands offshore, a reminder that this coast faces open sea and remains largely natural. This is one of the easiest gateways into the Trenc system. From the Sa Rapita Marina, you can step straight onto the sand and walk for a long distance towards CS Caviezel, then further along to Trenc proper. The first section near the village is the most convenient for families. The entry is gradual, the seabed is sandy, and lifeguards are usually on duty in summer. You will find showers and toilets by the marina and seasonal rentals for sunbeds and parasols close to the main access. Away from the village, the beach becomes quieter and feels wilder. If you want space, walk 10 or 15 minutes along the shoreline and you will find a calm patch to spread a towel. Nature is the main draw here, and it is looked after carefully. Behind the sand lie protected dunes with rope lines and boardwalks that guide you to the beach. Please keep off the vegetation and use the marked paths. You will often see banks of dried seagrass along the high water line. This is Posidonia oceanica, and it is left in place to protect the shoreline from erosion. The water stays especially clear here because those seagrass meadows thrive just offshore. Bring a mask for simple snorkeling on a calm morning, and you will understand why this coast is famous for its colour. There are a few cafes and restaurants by the marina for a coffee, a simple lunch, or an ice cream break. But once you leave the village, services thin out pack water, a hat, and sunscreen. Shade is limited away from the access points, and the southern exposure means the sun feels strong by midday. The prevailing breezes can be a gift, keeping the heat comfortable and bringing good days for wind sports in the shoulder seasons. But they can also raise small chop in the afternoon. If you want the smoothest water, swim in the morning. Arenal de Sa Rapita makes a good base for exploring more of the south coast. You can walk in one direction toward the quiet coves of Ses Cavits and onward to Es Trenc, or drive 10 minutes east to Colonia de Sant Jordi for another beach day and a promenade stroll. Es Trenc is Mallorca's most famous natural beach, and it sits on the south coast between Ses Cavits and Colonia de Sant Jordi. Think of a long ribbon of pale sand with clear, shallow water and protected dunes behind it. There are no high-rise buildings and only a few seasonal services, so the beach keeps a simple, natural feel. The shoreline runs for several kilometres, which means you can always find a quieter stretch if you are willing to walk a little. Access is from two main sides. From the west, you can enter near Ses Cavits. From the east, you come in from the Ses Salines road toward Colonia de Sant Jordi. The central sections of Es Trenc are known for a relaxed atmosphere where topless sunbathing and naturism are common. It is a mixed crowd with families, couples, and groups of friends. The south coast exposure brings a steady breeze which keeps the heat comfortable in summer but can raise small waves in the afternoon. On days with an onshore wind, you may find a little seagrass in the shallows. Jellyfish can appear at times in high season across Mallorca. If the red flag is up or a notice is posted, sit it out and swim later. The wider landscape matters here. Just inland lies the Salobra de Campos, salt flats with bird life that is good in spring and autumn. If you split your day, you can swim in the morning and then visit Colonia de Sant Jordi for an easy walk on the promenade and dinner by the marina. The Cabrera National Park sits offshore, and on very clear days, the outline of the islands is visible from parts of the beach. What makes this beach special is the combination of easy access at the ends and a wild feel along the middle sections. Give yourself time to walk away from the entrances, listen to the wind in the dunes, and enjoy the clear water that has made Es Trenc a Mallorcan icon.
Attends, il a amené son coquille.
Alcudia sits on the north coast of Mallorca between two wide bays and works as one of the island's best all-round bases. The town has two main parts. There is the walled old town on a low rise with narrow streets, stone houses, and a clear medieval outline. A few kilometres away, you find Port d'Alcudia with a long beach, a marina, and a waterfront promenade. Together, they offer history, beaches, nature, and simple logistics for families and independent travellers. We will start in the old town. Stone walls from the 14th century still circle much of the centre with towers and two main gates. Porta del Mol is the most photographed entry point and an easy place to begin a walk. Streets run towards small squares with cafes and restaurants, and you can climb sections of the ramparts for a view over tiled roofs, orchards, and the sea in the distance. On market days, the lanes fill with stalls that sell fruit, cheese, clothes, and simple gifts. It is lively in the morning and quieter by late afternoon when the shade reaches the pavements. Alcudia also works as a base for boat trips and coastal walks. From the marina, you can join a cruise across the bay toward Cap de Formentor, with views of cliffs and the Formentor lighthouse on clear days. Small boats head to Coll Bay, a pebbly cove set beneath high slopes where the water is very clear. On land, the road to the Formentor Peninsula gives access to viewpoints and a series of coves, although parking is controlled in the peak season and buses are often required. If you prefer a town walk, follow the signed route around the old walls and continue toward the Baroque church of Sant Jaume and the small gardens nearby. Families choose Alcudia for the mix of shallow beaches and easy services, while walkers and cyclists use it as a comfortable base with quick access to the Tramontana foothills. Evenings are relaxed. The waterfront has plenty of places for a simple dinner of grilled fish, paella or tapas, and the old town squares are pleasant for a late coffee or ice cream. Nightlife exists, but it is more low-key than in the big southern resorts. History shows up in small ways as you move around. Street names recall Roman Palencia and medieval guilds. The layout of the walls and gates reflects a time when protection was essential. The harbour area tells a newer story of trade, fishing, and the rise of tourism in the 20th century. Local festivals add colour. The town celebrates Sant Yom in late July with concerts and events, and there are processions during Holy Week that bring residents into the streets around the church. Getting there is easy. By car from Palma, the direct route across the island takes about an hour, depending on traffic. Buses run regularly from the capital to both the old town and the port. Once you arrive, most of what you need sits within a short walk or a quick bike ride. If you plan full beach days, bring sun protection and water, because shade is limited away from the promenade.
而且它这天气不多变，我们上山上没晚点。
We have arrived at Formentor Beach on the slender peninsula that reaches out from the north of Mallorca. The setting is classic Mediterranean, with a long arc of pale sand and pebble pockets, clear water that shifts from light turquoise to deep blue, and a fringe of stone pines that give natural shade through most of the day. Behind us, the Tramontana foothills rise in green folds, and ahead the water opens toward the cape. It feels remote, yet it is close to Port de Pollença, which makes it one of the easiest wild-feeling beaches to reach on the island. Let us start with the layout. Formentor is not one single cove, but a sequence of small sections that run along the sheltered side of the bay. The seabed is mostly sand with patches of seagrass, and the entry is gentle for the first few meters, which suits families and relaxed swimmers. The pines are the signature of this place. They lean over the shore and drop cones and needles that perfume the air. On a hot day, you can move between sun and shade without needing to leave the beach. Paths thread behind the trees, so it is easy to change spots if the front row is full. Water quality is usually excellent. The nearby seagrass meadows help keep the sea clear and also protect the shoreline from erosion. You will often see bands of dried seagrass at the high water line. This is normal for Mallorca, and it is left in place to stabilize the sand. On a calm morning, the surface is like glass and perfect for snorkeling close to shore, where you will find small fish weaving through sunlight. By afternoon, a light breeze often picks up. That brings a pleasant coolness, but can raise a little chop. So plan your swim early if you want the flattest conditions. Facilities are simple, but cover the basics in season. There are lifeguards on the main sections in summer, showers and toilets at the principal access points, and places for a coffee, a cold drink or a light lunch. Sunbeds and parasols appear in peak months, though many people prefer to sit under the pines. If you walk a few minutes away from the central entries, you will find quieter patches where the beach narrows and the pine roots snake along the sand. The peninsula road from Port de Pollença is scenic and narrow in places, with bends that reveal views across the bay. In the busiest weeks of summer, there are controls on traffic toward the Cape and the beach, and parking at Formentor fills early. Shuttle buses often run from Port de Pollença, and boat taxis cross the bay in a short hop that doubles as a mini cruise. If you want a calm arrival, aim for early morning or later in the afternoon, when some visitors start to leave. Cyclists also love this road for the steady climbs and the shade of the pines, so keep an eye out if you are driving. Families choose Formentor for the mix of shade, shallow entry, and services. Couples come for the scenery and the change in light through the day as the pines cast long shadows. Swimmers like the long parallel lanes near the buoy lines, and paddleboarders get a calm track along the curve of the shore when the wind is light. Photographers get soft gold in the first and last hour of daylight when the hills glow and the water takes on a deeper colour.
Pies juntos, ¿sabes? Al hacerlo, pies juntos. Y échate bien para atrás. Y ya viene el impulso de un gemelo. Eso es. Esa mejor ya. Le tienes que clavado ahora.
La has clavado, pues. Es que no hay vídeo.
Te falta un poco más. Un pelín más.
Hicimos a esa quizás. Rosa.
Esa que grabo unos vídeos y te los paso luego por WhatsApp.
Parece que resbala, pero cuando te apoyas...
While we were coming back from Formentor Beach, we saw dozens of colourful kites arsing over the water and riders skimming across the waves. Kitesurfing is big on Mallorca's north coast because the wind and the bays make learning and riding easy. The main spots are the Bay of Pollença and the Bay of Alcudia, with popular launches at Sa Marina near Pollença, Es Barquers, Playa de Muro, Can Picafort and Sun Serra de Marina. Summer brings the sea breeze known locally as the embat. It usually builds late morning and peaks mid-afternoon, giving steady sideshore wind and long shallow water that is perfect for lessons and for cruising. In winter, north wind days bring stronger conditions for advanced riders. Playa de Muro stretches along the northeastern shore of Mallorca on the wide Bay of Alcudia. It sits between Port Alcudia and Can Picafort, with the Salbufera Natural Park just inland. Think of a long sweep of pale sand, shallow, clear water and a backdrop of low dunes and pines. The beach is divided into several signed sectors, often referred to as 1 through 4, but to a visitor it feels like one continuous shoreline that you can walk for kilometres without losing the sea from view. The water is the main attraction. Entry is very gradual, which makes it excellent for families and for anyone who likes long, relaxed swims. On calm mornings, the surface can look like glass, and you can see patterns of light on the sandy bottom. Offshore meadows of Posidonia help keep the water clear and also protect the beach from erosion. You may notice banks of dried seagrass at the top of the shore. They are left in place to stabilise the sand and are a normal feature on this coast. Bring a mask for simple snorkeling near the buoy lines, and you will find small fish close to shore. Activities change with the time of day. Early mornings are best for swimming, paddleboarding, and a quiet run along the firm sand at the waterline. By late morning, the sea breeze usually arrives and builds through the afternoon, which suits light sailing and gives a pleasant coolness on hot days. Kitesurfing is directed to specific launch areas in the bay and is not allowed in the main swimming zones of Playa de Muro. Beach volleyball courts appear in summer, and there are gentle kayak and pedal boat rentals at several points. The long, shallow water also makes this a good place for children to splash safely under supervision. From Palma, it is about 1 hour by car, depending on traffic. Public buses run regularly to stops along the beach from Alcudia and from the capital. And many hotels sit directly behind the sand, so you can reach the water in minutes. Food and breaks are easy to plan. The promenade offers everything from coffee and fresh pastries in the morning to simple seafood lunches and ice cream in the afternoon. Many visitors bring a small cooler with fruit and water so they can stay on the sand without leaving their spot. For a change of scene, walk north toward Port d'Alcudia for a busier waterfront with a marina and evening stroll, or head south toward Can Picafort for a quieter feel and more open sands. What sets Playa de Muro apart is the combination of clarity, length, and comfort. You get a family-friendly shoreline with lifeguards and services, a natural backdrop with the wetland park, and enough room to find your own patch of sand even in busy weeks. Stay a full day or use it as a base for a few days while you explore Alcudia, Old Town, the park trails, and the nearby coves. However you plan it, this beach delivers the easy north coast rhythm that many people come to Mallorca to find. We have come back to Arenal Beach for sunset, and it feels like the perfect closing chapter to our Mallorca adventure. The long curve of the Bay of Palma is in front of us. The promenade is settling into a slower rhythm, and the light is starting to warm. From this spot, you look west along the bay toward Palma, so the evening sun falls across the water and paints the city skyline with soft colour. Find a place on the sand or lean on the boardwalk rail and let the last hour of daylight do the rest. Arenal works well for sunset because the beach faces the bay with an open view and an easy foreground. Shallow water near the shore catches the sky like a mirror, and small ripples make patterns that change every minute. On many evenings, the sea breeze that builds through the afternoon begins to ease, so the surface becomes calmer and the reflections grow stronger. Behind you, the palm trees and the promenade lights start to glow, which gives you a mix of sea and town in the same frame. Choose a spot that suits your plan. If you want a quiet angle, walk a few minutes away from the busiest access points near the marina, and find open sand with fewer people. If you prefer comfort, stay close to the promenade where there are benches and beach bars for a drink. The colour show starts about 40 minutes before the sun reaches the horizon. Whites turn to gold, shadows lengthen, and the cathedral in Palma begins to stand out as a warm shape against the sky. Listen as the evening settles. You hear light conversation from the terraces, the soft break of small waves at the shore, and the distant bell of a bike on the promenade. The day crowds fade, runners finish their last stretch, and locals come out for a walk. It is a calm mood that fits the end of a day and gives you a clean bridge to tomorrow. As the blue hour deepens, take a final look across the water to the cathedral and the palace. The outline of Palma is clear, and the first city lights mark the curve of the bay. That view is the reason we came back here to close our day. Arenal gives you space, a simple foreground and a wide horizon that turns colour in slow layers. After sunset, you can stay right here in Arenal and lean into the night. Along the promenade, the beach bars switch from smoothies to cocktails, music turns up, and terraces fill with people chatting under palm trees. You will find casual pubs for a football match, karaoke, and live singers on side streets, and beach clubs with DJs near the sand. It is lively but easy to navigate, with plenty of late-night snacks and taxis along the main road. If you prefer a quieter mood, walk a few minutes away from the marina and choose a low-key lounge with sea views and soft lighting. Arenal is on the Playa de Palma strip, so the nightlife stretches for several kilometres in both directions. You can wander the promenade, stop for a drink wherever the music fits your taste, and keep the sea breeze with you all evening. Expect beach cocktails, Spanish pop, international hits, and a friendly mix of locals and visitors. Most places stay open late in summer, and the mood peaks from about 10:30 until the early hours. If you want the biggest party scenes on the island, there are two classic choices. For full-scale clubbing and late nights, head to Magaluf in the municipality of Calvia. The main strip concentrates large venues, themed bars, and big room dance floors. It is energetic, crowded in high season, and designed for people who want to dance until morning. For a more polished city night, go to Palma. The Old Town, La Lonja, and Santa Catalina offer cocktail bars, wine spots, and late-to-night kitchens in historic streets, plus a handful of clubs and live music rooms that carry on after midnight. Palma suits couples and groups who want dinner, a few stylish bars, and then a final stop with music. There are also balanced options if you prefer family-friendly evenings with a promenade rather than a club. Port d'Alcudia and Port de Pollença offer relaxed bars, ice cream walks, and street performers in summer. On the south coast, Can Pastilla shares the same bay as Arenal, but keeps a calmer rhythm with sea-facing terraces and longer conversations. Thank you so much for watching our Mallorca journey today. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment with your favourite moment or a place you want us to visit next. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new walk with us. We appreciate your support, and we will see you in the next video.